Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Jarvis here. You're with me on my IG. So, what's up, everybody, over on IG? My FB, what's going on with your FB? And my YouTube, what's up, YouTube? And I also have the Wisdom family with me. And it's still Jarvis TV. And we're going to have a great session tonight. It's Friday night. Tonight, we are talking about, drum roll, please, all about the emotions, part 16. What's what goes on inside of a man's heart. I will have a special guest this evening. Actually, I see my guest that is waiting in the queue for me. And so I'm going to bring him up and we're going to have a great conversation tonight. And we're just really going to talk transparently. I like to say keeping it hot, honest, open, and transparent, talking from a space of like, hey, as men, these are some of the things that we feel. And it's one of those things that, I mean, hey, ladies, if you have questions and you've ever wanted to know what goes on inside a man's heart when pertaining to, feel free to go ahead and ask those questions, send those questions across. I leave it open for people to be able to join in on the conversation, because we're on the 4 different platforms. I believe that people have, they have so much value to add to what it is that we're talking about. And in adding that value, what's up, Melissa D over here, Coach D, Coach Melissa D, the activation coach. She's ready. She's fired up, Mr. Impact. Let's go. Let's get it. Okay, I'm sorry. I got excited. I saw that. I got fired up. So it's going to be a great conversation. I want to involve everybody in the conversation. I don't want you to feel isolated out of the conversation. And me and my guest, and I'm getting ready to bring him up right now, are going to do our very best to keep it as honest, open, and transparent with you as we can, and just let you know what goes on in our hearts. And so, shout out to my guest. He was one of our artists. He did a spoken word piece. Actually, he did a couple pieces, and it was just powerful. Man, I don't really want to kill his thunder, but this is a man that every time I've talked to him, he's been very transparent. I know this is going to be a great conversation. So help me and welcome me and my guy, Mr. Ellis Ford. What's up, Big Easy? What's up, man?
What's going on, big bro, man? I'm excited, man. Excited.
You look good, man. I feel like you did something different with the hair. Like,
Oh man, you gotta switch it up. Can't never
I
let,
like,
people really gauge, you or this, that, and the third. I feel like they can manipulate you if they can see where you're coming, what I mean, how you're coming.
yeah.
So
Okay,
you
I
know.
got you. I like that jacket too, my guy.
Oh, appreciate that, man. I try. I
Man, I
try.
should have put on a blue one. We could have been in here tripping and blooding. No, no, I like the hair though, man. It looks really good. Last time I saw you had it braided back. So, yo, let's get it. Shout out to my guy,
Appreciate
the
that.
general over here on IG. So man, so tonight's conversation, we're gonna be talking about, it's all about the emotions. And I've been
Hmm.
on this topic for a minute, and I know you and we kind of talked about it briefly, as far as like why I stayed on the topic and why I kept going with the topic. And I just want you to share, well, first of all, let everybody know who you are, because if they were not at the impact rally, then they have no clue really who you are. So go ahead and share with them really quick, man.
Oh man. What's good, great people? We live in a world that's driven by titles and positions. For instance, if you have a title of a CEO or manager, supervisor, people feel entitled to those titles. So they, can be arrogant. They can, feel like they had some type of leeway because of their titles. So with that
Mm-hmm.
being said, man, I have a couple of them myself, but I prefer for people to just say Ellis. Just say Ellis. I'm a minister. I'm an artist. I'm an influencer. I'm a speaker. But like I said, I prefer if individuals just say Ellis. I feel like if you could connect with the individual, then once you can see the heart of the individual, then you will see why that person is in the position or have the title that they have. So I'd rather people connect with the person first, then the position comes later. So, you know.
Okay. All right, my guy. Listen, my one thing I know about Ellis is he gonna break it down. He gonna he gonna break it down, and I appreciate that, man. I definitely appreciate that. It's funny that you say that, because one of the things that I used to say when I would be on college campuses is, you have the what is it, the acronym TMNT. That's what they call it, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when that came
Hmm.
out, TMNT. And I told him, I said, I believe in TMNT. the man, not the title. Because
Wow. Love
what
it.
it is like, as a man, there's so much that we bring to the table, but people can isolate us and put us in certain boxes if they look at a title. And if they focus on
Exactly.
title, they'll miss who the man is altogether. You know what I'm
Love it.
saying? So, man, so tonight, man, our topic, we just gonna be keeping it hot. You know what I say?
Let's
Keeping it
do it.
honest, open, and transparent. We're gonna be talking about what goes on inside of a man's heart. And so I opened it up and I told you probably heard this as I was introducing the conversation tonight. I said, ladies, if you have questions, feel free to ask those questions. We are definitely going to keep it transparent. I don't know if it's going to be light. I don't know if it's going to be heavy. I know that it's definitely necessary. Last night we kind of tapped into a little bit of what goes on, as black men, how we operate and function in our emotions. But I do believe that tonight is going to be another one of those nights that we'll get into that as well. Where we'll tap in on that. And so, man, the as far as the all about the emotions, I know you probably haven't had a chance to hear all of them. But what stood out to you, or what has stood out to you, that's kind of resonated with you, that you'd want to tap in on?
Oh wow. As a matter of fact, it's like what you said, us as black men. I don't believe that when it comes to emotions, that
Uh-huh.
it's necessarily, I don't think it's color, it's culture. It depends on the culture in which you came up in or under or whatnot.
Yeah.
For instance, as black men, man, we grew up with a lot of disadvantages and restrictions.
Okay.
So um I feel like that sparks something in us emotionally to be able to, we feel like we have to portray this certain hard exterior because of the just the situations that we grew up in, the trials and things of that nature. So we have this hard outer shell to block or try to protect our emotions because deep down inside, we're really hurt. So I
Right.
believe anger is a masculinity issue or just a shield that we use because we don't want to be hurt no more. We actually fear that hurt that we felt, and we refuse to allow anybody to get into that, what I like to call that sacred space again. Because
Yeah.
if you let anybody in there tamper with that, they'll
Yeah.
control it, they'll manipulate it, and then you'll wind up being used as a pawn for their pleasure or whatever. So that
Wow.
that's
Right. And
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I like some of the points that you hit on, and these are some of the things that we were talking about a little bit last night. Like,
Mm,
I know Creed Cole had mentioned something similar. We're saying it's not necessarily, it's more of the, like you said, it's not color, but the culture that you grew up in, and that's something that is very real, especially for us as black men, because there's things that we see around us in our environments that will where and I believe I talked about this last night as well, where we want to be like what we see. Whatever we
absolutely.
see the most of, that's what we want to be like. And I think that's true with anybody. The difference in a culture, in a predominantly black neighborhood, or in a predominantly black part of town, or however you want to call it, in the black culture in general, we kind of we start off at a disadvantage, and
Right.
it's fortunate that our skin tone creates this disadvantage. But even in that disadvantage, we're fighting to figure out who's the right person to follow. you know
Mm,
what is the
that's
right
good.
who's the right role model, because we're presented with a lot of different role models. And it's crazy. Have you seen that show, Raising Dion? It's on Netflix. You probably haven't.
No, I haven't tuned into it.
So it's a great show. You should check it out. Just check it out.
Will do.
But
Will do.
I've been watching it, and there's a part in the show where there's this kid, and it's he's a little kid, little white kid, and he's alone, but he's
Mm,
got like this dark matter, I guess you would say, or like this evil spirit type thing that is traveling around with him and convincing him to do certain things. And there's a part that that stood out to me so vividly today, that as I was looking at it, as like this dark matter comes up on his shoulder, and the kid is like talking about how the other kid is his friend. He's like, man, that's my friend. And he's like, no, he's not your friend. You think he really wants to be your friend? I'm your only friend.
Mm.
And so we're gonna get rid of him, and then out. He's like, well, and then I won't be alone anymore. I'll be with you. And the evil matter says, yes, I'll take good care of you. You will always be with me. Now
Wow.
that hit because how many times, and in the streets, right? Do you get the OG, somebody who's already a part of the crew, who
Right.
makes it seem
Right.
like if you run with them, they got you. They're going to protect you. They're going to stand with you. They're going to stand for you. They're going to fight with you, alongside you, and on your behalf, right? And
Right.
that you'll never be alone. Now, fast forward in the show, you get to a part where this thing then turns its back on him, gets mad, and is like, "You thought I was really gonna be your." And that's how often does that happen in life, where you're following the wrong person, and your loyalties lie with that individual, and then all of a sudden that
Wow.
on you, and now they coming at you,
Right.
right? And it stood out to me because I was thinking, I was like, man, how many of our young men are painting the wrong picture of how they should lead their life based off of that reality right there.
Mm. 2 minute
You know,
account, man. two
yeah,
minutes
bro,
account. Wow.
definitely, definitely.
Wow.
And then I like that you said anger is a shield, um, because I can't remember exactly what I was listening to or what I was reading. Everything kind of after a while it starts to kind of blur together, especially if you just reading and just pulling the content in.
Right.
But they said that anger, when you're angry, you're masking something else. You're masking an insecurity. You're masking a hurt emotion.
Absolutely.
You're masking. You're trying to mask depression. And really, what depression is anger that should be put out towards whoever did something to you, pointed back in on the inside of you, and it
Mm.
starts to oppress you. So
Wow. That's
you hit
good.
some really great points, man. And that's a what better way to kick it off and start into a strong conversation and being transparent as men, as black men, in our emotions than to say something like that. So let me throw this question out there, and I'm pretty sure that we'll kind of volley it back and forth. um,
Okay.
when it comes to us as men, we're in that season of the year. It's Valentine's, um, and it's let me ask you this: how much pressure do you think is on men right now because it's Valentine's weekend?
Whoo wee. Wow. we you started this off saying that we're gonna be
Yeah,
hot. We're gonna be honest, open, and
yeah,
transparent.
yeah,
So
yeah.
man, the pressure is enormous. Let me just say that.
Okay.
And and society has a lot to do with, especially in the state of the world that we're in right now. But it's
Hmm.
so this is so ironic to me because we was actually having this conversation at my job today, and they had posed the question. It was like, man, how do you feel? How do you think men feel on Valentine's Day, as far as always being the provider, like being the one that's getting the gift instead of being the one that's receiving the gift? Like, how do
Yeah.
you feel men, feel in that regards? Like, do you think men should get anything for Valentine's Day? And I believe, man, that individuals are so it's like they're afraid to be alone because they're not comfortable with their self. What
Mm,
individuals don't understand is that singleness is the formula to a relationship. If you are
wow.
secure in your singleness, that makes the relationship that much better because I don't necessarily have to lean and depend on you for things that I'm insecure about or that I'm scared to face. You see what
Right,
I'm
right, right,
saying? So
right, right,
if you're a balanced individual and I'm a balanced individual, when we come and bring, have a relationship, that just makes it that it's balanced all the way through. So
boy.
Valentine's Day, man, I think it should be co-celebrated. Like, I think both individuals should show their appreciation,
Stay
for
cool
one another. So
celebrating.
but the stigma is that you present and shower your lady with gifts and things of that
Yeah,
nature, which I don't mind doing. I love doing those things. I love to see the
right,
joy, the happiness, and the love. But I feel that individuals, they're afraid to be single, as if that's a weakness.
yeah,
Uh, in the world or in our culture, in our society, that if you're single, it's something that you don't have right. There's something that's wrong with you. What did you do? It's just it poses a bunch of questions, and it just leaves it up in the air, and individuals just kind of, you know, go with the
Yeah.
flow when it comes to that. Like, oh, if you single, hey, something, you did you crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's
So so let me jump in with you on this. So and I bring that question up, and it was the first question that really came to mind because I know that we're just having a conversation and we're sharing what's on our heart. And we're
right.
going to be transparent. Melissa said, "Be real with it." That's what you're trying to say. She spelled it wrong, but it's okay. But the I would say, like, I agree with you. There is a lot of pressure on men during Valentine's. I've seen people, I've seen relationships end because the man didn't celebrate Valentine's Day,
Absolutely.
or he didn't get a gift that amounted up to what her friends got. And
That's good.
to, uh, I've been paying attention to like a lot of the marketing that leads up to Valentine's Day. And they start marketing for Valentine's Day as soon as New Year's hit. Like, boom, bing, bada, bada,
Right.
it's like it's out there. And it's I when I was married, um, and I was married before, and in the time that I was married, we stopped celebrating Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day because it was like
Mm,
I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, it's really pushed to this one day for it to be a money day, like a huge money making day for businesses,
mm,
and it pulls on one of our strongest emotions, which is love.
right.
And value, or will we, as human beings, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but as
Hmm.
human beings, we have a tendency when it comes to a day like this to really put the expectation extremely high when it comes to this particular day. So then you got men that are like, out here grinding, hustling. And I used to work in retail, and one of the things that I knew is that, okay, my money days, Valentine's Day was almost as big as the day after Thanksgiving.
Talk about it. Yeah.
Big day. And then the next day, the next big holiday, because people would think that it would be like the day before Christmas or just after Christmas. No, the next big holiday that came along was big after Valentine's Day. That was a money making day. Was Mother's Day. Then you would have,
Right.
or either no, I'm sorry, it would be Easter. I don't know why Easter is big
Okay.
and retail is big, but then Mother's Day, right? Then after Mother's Day, you got Father's Day, and Father's Day would be just as slow as the day before Christmas, where you might get
Mm,
a few stragglers in there, but people aren't really like loading it down, like trying to get stuff.
wow.
And when I look at that, I'm like, yo, this is all about the propaganda. And I don't want to celebrate the propaganda. I want to celebrate the individual,
Oh, that's
and
good.
I don't mind. Like, I don't mind. I don't have anything against celebrating Valentine's Day, but what I dislike is when I see men that are stressing and they're worried, and then you hear the conversations and you're watching all this stuff, and really the reality is it's kind of a day to show off the things that you got or the things that you experienced in this Valentine's Day. And that's what's going to happen on social media, guaranteed. On
Right.
Valentine's Day, during this weekend, we're going to see all kinds of posts, hotel pictures, vacation pictures, somebody on a beach, somebody in the dinner, somebody. And then women, unfortunately, got to look at these things, and they're going to measure how well their man did based off of
Right.
what they're reading.
That's
So
good.
as for us as men, that pressure point is extremely high. And it's not that we don't want to celebrate. It's because I know for me, my heart is like, yo, I want to celebrate you, but my love for you goes way beyond February 14th. Yes, it's
Absolutely.
a universal day for us to celebrate, but the same hotel, the same chocolates, the same
Mm.
dinner that we would get on Valentine's Day, if we got it the day after Valentine's Day, 50% off.
Right.
75% off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it is, I mean, and I think it's probably good to start in that direction because as men, these are some of the things that can create high anxiety, you know,
Absolutely.
or make you feel like you're failing if you don't meet the standard, you know.
Mm.
And that's kind of tough. So let's see what some of the, because the lady started chiming in here. Um, so Bree, she jumped in and she said, some of us have been alone for so long, stemming from childhood, that we're tired of being by ourselves. I got it. And then she
Mm.
also says, let's go to the next message. She says Valentine's Day should be every day in a relationship, and I agree with that. That means we can hit that whenever. But so when it comes to love, because a lot of times women in conversations that I've had, I don't know if you've had conversations like this, but they tend to think sometimes that we don't love them because we don't say or do certain things.
Mm.
So let's kind of talk
That's
about
good.
our love languages as men for a second. Um, what would you say is like probably one of the most common love languages for us as men?
Wow, what's some of the most common? Um,
And
for
you don't
me,
have to stick with the five. Like, how people that five love. No,
right,
there's way more love languages in those five. But
right,
whatever,
absolutely,
and you can use yourself because you know yourself better than you know anybody else. So
right. Um, I know for me, um, I I believe my love language is, and I know I don't want to go with the status quo, but I believe mine is words of affirmation because I believe that a man is looking for respect more so than love. And I know that sounds crazy or that sounds backwards, but if we're respected, then we look at that as being, loved in a certain sense. Like women look for love, but men we look for respect. So if you give me that with words like, babe, I see you're trying and you're doing such a good job and this, that, and the third, because if you notice when a man loses his job, loses a source of income, he feels like he has nothing. So
that's true.
we we look at things like that. Well, I know I do, as if, if I'm not getting those words of affirmation, that I don't feel that I'm measuring up as far as like pleasing you, satisfying you, things of that nature, because it's not being said. So
Right.
I'm one of those individuals that if you let me know, like, babe, you're doing a good job. I see you trying this, that, and the third. That's motivation for me to want to even strive even harder, to want to even go even harder, to want to be
Yeah.
able to meet your needs and your desires. So I just know for me, that's what I desire. That's one of my love languages. Because even if I don't feel like I can, if you tell me that I can, that'll make me, well, you know what? I must can then. I guess I can. You know what I'm saying? If you see it
Good.
in me, I'm going to try to jump over this moon, even though I know I can't, jump 2 feet in the air. But if you tell me I can, then I'm finna get a running start and I'm finna try as hard as I can. So I just know for me, those words of affirmation does so much. It does so much for me. As a man, it does. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. And there's somebody told me there's a slight echo when you're speaking, so
Okay.
I'll make sure that I correct that on my end. I don't know if it's something that I got to do. No, you're fine. You're fine. You can leave yourself unmuted unless you're
Okay.
fixing it. But man, so let me go ahead and I'll answer that myself as well. I like what you said as far as like men tend to look for respect more than love, and I would even go so far as to say this to add balance to it. It's not that we don't look for the love. It's
Mm-hmm.
that we add respect in as a key component to love.
That's good.
Meaning like,
Yeah.
because as men we try to do everything that we can to show that we're there or to provide or to be there emotionally,
Right.
and like you said, when a woman tells you that you can, bro, I'm gonna tell you, like, even and I'm not even trying to get biblical in this, but if you look in the Bible, every major move that happened in the Bible was influenced and the transition started with a woman.
Mm.
Every and I
Wow.
could be missing some in there, but as I'm thinking, almost every major move that was made in the Bible was transitioned or started by a woman. Um, so let's go back. Adam and Eve. You know, the transition started with Eve. First with the
Very
fruit,
true.
then passed on to Adam. That power of influence was just like it took all that power of authority away from a man, and he gave in. If we fast forward a little bit and we go to the story of Barak, and him winning the battle, he would have never won that battle had he not went through Deborah, right? and then Deborah to Jael, and then Jael killing the king, and then they move forward. You can go to who is it, Hannah, who couldn't get pregnant and ended up having uh, the was it Samuel, I think, or Nathan, one of the prophets, but she ended up having the baby and giving him back to the priest. But that started a movement, right?
Right.
Moses, his mother, putting him into having his sister put him into the river, going down, flowing, and then Moses or Pharaoh's daughter finding him, bringing him out. Three women included in this whole transition that eventually led to a full change, a full freedom march, right? Then let's go ahead and we can just jump. We can, I mean, shoot, we can go to Rahab, a prostitute, right?
Right.
Who ends up being the mother of Boaz, who, like, if you know anything about churchy women, and I'm going like this, they all look for their Boaz, who ended
Right.
up marrying Ruth, right? But Ruth would have never ended up where she was if it had not been for Naomi and Ruth and Naomi sticking together. You got Mordecai going and talking to his niece, Esther, who then goes and saves the children of Israel, laying herself at the feet. Like, I can go story by story by story by story by
Wow.
story.
Yeah, you
And
breaking
as
it
I'm
down.
talking about it, man, I'm thinking like, yo, every major transition. Shoot, Jesus, he didn't really start performing miracles until his mama said, "Boy, we thirsty.
That's
Y'all do what he
good.
said." And he turned around. She turned around and walked
That's
away.
good.
She initiated the change, right? She initiated what was going to happen. And so I think that that's an element in it's from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation that anytime a man has been told by his women in his life that he can, he does.
Right.
And that even that has been portrayed through TV shows, movies, because as men,
Yep.
it's like we'll be in the middle of something and we ready to quit, we ready to give up. I mean, shoot, one of my favorite shows is The Flash. Every time Flash is ready to quit, Iris shows up, and it don't matter what nobody else say, but if Iris says, "Barry, I love you, run, Barry, run," pew, he take off. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm using all of these examples because I really wanted to resonate with people, as we're talking. And you said that those words of affirmation, they mean so much. They do. They mean so much. And I said that the other night when I was talking about I was talking with Jaleesa, and I brought up the song with uh, Mary J. Blige and Method Man. But then even as I'm thinking about, if you think about the movie 300, right? In the movie 300, we look at 300 and we think about the Spartans in that movie 300, like, yo, these dudes was out here, they was doing it, they crushing people, you know. But if you think about it, his moves didn't happen without him knowing that his wife had his back. Because when
Right.
Buddy was talking about him, Dust and whatever, and he was standing there and he looked around, he turned around and looked at his wife, and his wife gave him the nod. He said, "This is Sparta." Wow, busted Buddy in his chest.
Right.
Then, before he went out to war, he's in the room with his wife, and she's like, "What troubles my king?" And he said, "Nothing that would ever keep me from you, my queen. Being here with you is enough for me." Like, he breaks it down, and then she encourages him and she supports him and then pushes him out. And so these are things that we see over and over and over again. So it's not uncommon for us as men to come and say, like, "Hey, these words of affirmation really mean a lot." And I don't care who the man is. Words of affirmation do something for us. That pat on that back, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The praise when you do something well. You want, hey, ladies, here's a secret for you. If you are like, if you're married, if you're living with your man, if you want him to take the trash out, tell him one day how sexy he looked. You like, man, that was so sexy when he took that trash out. Watch how often that trash get taken out. And then it's
Straight
gonna
up.
start he gonna start wearing the stuff that you like for him to wear. He gonna throw on some gray sweats,
Right.
some
Come on.
slides, and a t-shirt so you can watch him take the trash out. That's just real.
It's very
Even
true. That's very
even
true. He giving y'all some game, ladies. I know. Try to
hey,
use
I'm
that
just
against
saying,
us
man.
now. But
Even even when it comes to a woman telling us how we can love them, if a woman
right.
says, "When you do this for me, I feel like this, and I love it when you do that," because when
Mm,
you do that, this is how I see you. It's like, oh, that's how I need to love. Oh, well, let me
mm,
love you. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
man, feel free to chime in. I know I just kind of got on a tangent
Oh
for a
man, I
second.
loved it. I loved how you broke everything down. I love the direction that you're going in, man. I just love how you build off of what we were talking about as far as the words of affirmation. But it's so interesting because when you went to the Bible, man, I was over here leaping. I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go. It's about to get really real now. But it's so, I believe it's so essential to tell an individual how you want to be loved. I feel like we kind of leave that out, and we have this quote unquote like this test that we give people, like, okay, figure out
Mm,
how to love me and this, that, and the third. And I actually tell my lady friend that, I told her, I'm like, listen, tell me or show me how to love you so I can
yeah,
provide what you need or what you want. And Jesus even said that himself. He said that if you love me, follow my commands. So he showed you
right,
how he wanted to be loved. Follow my commands.
right,
So I believe that when individuals, ladies, if you let your man know, listen, this is how I desire to be loved, then we
right.
can get closer to the mark. We won't be perfect, but we can progress in that direction and give you what it is that you need if you just put it out there on the line instead of having us try to figure it out or drop in hints and things of that nature. Because I find it that women, they get mad if they leave a hint out there and you didn't catch the hint. You know what I'm saying? It's
You
like
see
if
my
you
face, right?
come on, we say we're gonna be hot now. We're gonna be hot
You
and
getting us in
honest.
trouble?
Don't just
Hey,
leave a hint out there, but give a man some type of direction instead of
yeah,
thinking that they're supposed to just figure it out. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I'm just, hey ladies, if you use that, I really believe that will help out in the relationship, man. Just be straightforward.
yeah, bro. Let
In
me
two
tell you,
miles,
man.
turn left
The
onto
crazy
Campground
thing
Road.
is, as you're saying that, and what you said about like give us some direction, I think that we do our women a disservice by allowing them to feel like they always have the answer.
Ah, come on,
They-
that's good.
I I think that we as men got to stop being afraid that to tell our women, because I want my lady to know, like, um, no, babe, you nope, not you think that you do that, but no, you
Mm,
don't. And I think that one of the ways that we mess up is we've allowed because we want our okay. Let's back it up a little bit.
hmm.
So as men, we love those words of affirmation. We love to feel honored. We love to feel uplifted. We love to feel like like they see us for the man that they want us to be, not just the man that we are in that moment, but they see us bigger
Right,
than what we are. Right? So what
absolutely.
we try to do is we try to do that same thing for our women, as far as like when they're and there's some guys who don't do this. So I'm not saying like everybody's like this, but the grand majority is that. So when these men when our with our women, um, we don't want them to feel like they're messing up. So when they do mess up, we don't dive right in like, see you messing up,
Mm,
or when we may throw
Stay in
out
the right
cues,
lane.
right? And then the cues that we throw out, they don't really catch it, and we just kind of go with the flow because we don't want them to feel like they missed something you
mm,
know and then when they come back and they have those conversations with us, they're like, well, I don't see why you didn't get the hint or catch the clues that I gave you. I said this, I did this, I was wearing
Go
this, and da, da,
past
da.
this light,
And you're thinking
and then
like,
mm.
at the next one,
I remember you
turn
said
left.
you really like this one cologne that I wear, so I wore that cologne for you. And
Right.
or I remember you said you really like this one particular restaurant, so we went to that restaurant. But or you're like
At the
thinking of all the
right,
things that you
use the
did to
left
try to
to
say,
turn onto
hey, listen, I'm
Campground
trying to
Road.
speak your language, and they didn't catch it. But we're
Mm.
not transparent. We have not been transparent as men, and I'm just talking about in general because
Oh
not
yeah,
everybody
absolutely.
listens to this. But we have not been transparent enough to be able to really just say, hey, babe, listen, this is where we are with this. Um, I was trying to show you this, and I'm gonna tell you, ladies, we really don't want to come back at you like that.
Right.
And so that's why when you were talking about that, Ellis, you were like, yo, like tell us. And the reason why we want you to tell us is because we in our minds realize that we have to tell
In
you
2.6 miles,
what's
turn
going
right
on
to
with us
merge
and
onto
how we feel.
I-75 North.
So
Very
um
true.
we have let me read some of these comments, and then we also have Creed Cole over here who wants to jump up and join the conversation. So I'm gonna bring up into the conversation with us. He's on the Wisdom app, but we will both be able to hear him and communicate with him.
Okay, let's
Um,
do it.
Melissa jumps in and she says, "Wow, okay. Emotional, mature women respect leadership and loving correction from a man. It shows us he's capable of covering me and helping me be better." That right there,
That's
that's
fire.
yes. I wish that I could just hit the fire button right now because that
Right,
right
that's
there
fire.
is definitely fire. And I will say that that is that yeah, I will say that that's boy, I love it when my lady would tell me this, like, hey, I want you to lead.
Mm,
Because it's not a pride thing, right? It's a oh, you want me to lead? I thought you wanted to take the lead. Like so it's like,
mm-hmm.
oh well, you kind of like throw your shoulders back a little bit. You put your chest out a little bit. And if you ain't got no chest hair, you drawing it on with a Sharpie because now you want to look grown. You know what I'm saying? So, but man, let me go ahead and bring in Creed right quick here, man, because he's a good brother, and I'm pretty sure that he's either going to ask some questions or try to bring some other balance to what we're talking about. Creed, my man, how you feeling?
Hey, how you doing today?
Doing good, doing good. Ellis, can you hear him?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Creed, go ahead, man. Holla at us. You got us both on here.
Oh, okay, yeah, I chimed in here a minute ago. I got my grandson tonight. It's Paw night, so him and I have been vibing for a little while.
Okay.
He's
Love it,
sleeping.
love it.
Yeah, he just went to sleep. So I have a few minutes to chime in with you guys and build. I appreciate you brothers off top. I really do. Much love to all you guys here.
Man, we appreciate you, man. Go ahead. You can keep going. That's Ellis had to jump in his car, so he got his GPS talking to him.
Oh,
Sorry
okay.
about that.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to add on, as far as for me, what I've noticed is that um, women have a hard time to it's hard to find a good woman to follow. You know what I'm saying? If you can find a good woman that's willing to follow, then it makes everything better. You know what I'm saying? But so we compromise a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because they act like they want to follow the church going, everything is and everything. But that usually is a mask a little bit. So once you get involved, and it's kind of like everybody have their own personalities, and everything. But it seems like to me that women got this what's alpha female thing going on now. I guess they have their own way, but they need us. They know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get with them. So instead of us wanting to be argumentative or we want to try to win them over to our way of thinking. So what we do is we compromise.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves following them more, all because of the anxiety of the repercussions of not following them. It seems like that we start caring a little more than they do, or we understand that the fact that we need them to the point that we're able to compromise our essence at times, and which makes us high anxiety, where then we can't operate in that realm because that's not how it was created.
Man.
So it destroys a man.
Yeah.
When you don't follow, whether he makes a mistake or not, your job is not to correct him on it. It's your job is to roll your sleeves up and help him fix that. With the same humility he's going to carry, because he's going to have the same pride when he gets up to the top.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to wait till he's to the top before you want to be by his side. You want to criticize him until he gets there.
Man.
But anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Nah, bro, that's good stuff, and I'm gonna tell you. So,
bro, definitely.
yeah,
that is not to beat women up. I'm not saying that.
None of the women.
Culture. This our culture has created an atmosphere where it's black men anyway, African American men. We're expected to be like Superman.
Yeah.
We got to climb 20-story building, but we're not allowed to cry. We're not allowed to be emotional. Then we're weak.
Yeah.
I mean, they may not say it. They may think they want it to happen emotionally, but at the end of the day, we're just meant to be stronger, better, bigger, and that's why we're the biggest target.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna read to you some of the messages. So Melissa D jumped in and she said, "We want to be led, but have not had the luxury of seeing healthy masculinity and emotionally trust a man to lead."
Okay.
So then,
can I speak on that?
Yeah. Well, she was following along with you, but she went on and said some more. So she followed that up immediately, and she said, "A good woman A good woman willing to follow is called submission, but people aren't ready for that conversation. Woo!
Wow,
And then she
sis,
said,
that's
"Okay,
good.
But that's just for let's clear everything up. Just because we do know that there's a lot of just mentally just there's a lot of people just running around dysfunctional.
Yeah, yeah.
Their reality of success, their reality of leading you to one way or the other. You have to be careful about that too. Where you're being led to.
Yeah.
And I'll say black men. Oh, that's the culture we're talking about tonight. Has been misled themselves to the vision of success and things like that. So, how can I put it? So, with that being said, I agree with the woman on that. You got, a man. You got to know which man to deal with.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want dare a woman to follow a man who's not righteous.
Yeah.
He's not following in the realm of love and servitude and all everything that goes along with Jesus' principles.
Man, I appreciate that, Creed. Man, that was good. That was really good.
Definitely.
And I know you probably got like 10 seconds left on there, but go ahead, Ellis.
Oh, I was just, comment on the things that he said, man. He dropped a lot in there. And to speak on the last part that he was talking about, as far as like, it's our culture. I use this a lot when I'm speaking and get invited to a lot of engagements and things of that nature. But in our culture, especially as, black men, we are what I like to be called wrongly well taught. We are well taught, but in the wrong ways. And that's all the way around the board. I feel like just as being a man in our upbringing. So we, we filter things through that philosophy or that school of thought. And, with a filter, it catches whatever don't goes with our philosophy, and we throw everything else to the side. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a culture issue. Definitely what bro was talking about and speaking on. But it's like Melissa said, a lot of people aren't ready for the conversations that need to be had. You know what I'm saying? But they have to be had if we're going to be, if we want to be better and if we want to do better.
Absolutely, bruh. So Melissa actually is over here on the Wisdom app and is ready to jump up into the conversation. So I'm gonna bring her into the conversation. But I definitely, man, Creed made a lot of great points, bruh. Drop some gems in there. Melissa D, what's up, Miss Lady?
Hey, what's going on? You know, I had to chime in.
Hey, well, go ahead and chime in. You can either ask us questions or give a woman's perspective, whatever you want to do.
Well, first, I want to applaud you. You've been unpacking the topic of emotions for a while now, and it's refreshing that you're holding space for men who feel what you all feel, and you're giving words to articulate that. And as women, we would be remiss if we did not listen and put the proper application to it based on our situation.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that we have to consider is this, like Ella said, it's not a conversation of color, but culture. Mm-hmm. And so, not even to get into the Black conversation about broken families and the divisiveness between men and women that goes deeply rooted, but then there's also the cultural aspect of the family dynamic you were raised in versus the family dynamic you're trying to create in a relationship.
Wow.
So I think the important conversation to be had is, you as a man may have witnessed two loving parents in a 30, 40 plus year marriage.
Yeah.
So you understand love in the construct of a traditional nuclear family. Mm-hmm. Whereas I, and this is my real scenario, being raised by 3 generations of single Black women, where I may say, yes, I want the traditional nuclear Black love family power couple. But if I have in essence not seen that model, and to apply what Ellis said about wrongly well taught, I was well taught to be self-sufficient as an independent woman, but that has wrongly positioned me to be wife, and now I have to unlearn what does not apply to the family structure I want in the future.
Wow. That's good. That, what you got on it, Ellis?
Man, I definitely believe that it's a balance there, because I'm not going to say that you're wrong, Melissa. Because first of all, you're one of my favorite people in the world, not just favorite women, one of my favorite people in the world. So I definitely value your perspective on things. But
Likewise.
Hold up now. I thought both y'all done told me the same
Hey,
thing.
we all are favorites. So
Okay,
there we go.
okay.
right, it's all, it's all love. It's definitely all love.
Yeah,
But to Melissa's point, us as men, we can't at the same time be intimidated by a woman who comes well equipped. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, especially in today's culture, and it's been going on for a minute, women are just taught to look good, and that's your role. When they go to the clubs and when they go out, if you look the part, then that's it, because they are taught that they are the prize. And don't get me wrong, that is part of it, but that's not the whole story. You
right.
definitely have to encourage each other and build each other up and work on those insecurities or those imperfections. Understand that they come with them, but you're not just going to leave them there, because a
Right.
lot of individuals, male and female, feel like, okay, accept me as I am, but you work on the things that you need to work on. I don't need to work on nothing over here, but you need to work on the things that you need to work on. And I'm going to
Uh,
point those out, and I'm going to let you know about those things every chance that I get. And that's not fair on either side. So what Melissa is saying, or what I believe, what I'm hearing from that, there's nothing wrong with coming to the table and having and being equipped, have a lot of things to offer. But at the same time, you do have to, a man is a provider. So if he
right.
doesn't feel like, if he's not feel like he's providing because you have that space taken up, then there's not much for him in that relationship. He doesn't
Yeah,
feel his importance or his value in the relationship.
man. So Melissa, go ahead. I know I got you you got another minute on there.
Um, I wanted to share this. I agree with Ellis. I think what's really important, what I've learned over time, and I've been in that situation. I've been that woman where after breakup and still maintaining friendly communication with exes, it was like, hey, at the time I didn't feel like you needed me as a man, right. And I really struggled with that. And when I finally, it wasn't until a point of emotional maturity where I had to be clear on the areas of life where independence served me well, or if it was a disservice to my growth.
Yeah.
And I had to understand I was
Hey Melissa, come right back up. I have somebody in the queue, but come right back up so you can finish that statement. And then what I'll do is I'll bring up okay, I see Creed is in there too. So I'll let you finish this statement and then we'll bring up Creed. So we're bringing Melissa back in so she can finish her statement here. That was she was saying some good stuff, bro.
Oh yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, go
so,
ahead.
What happens is that and I hear you, my brother Ellis, but it's everything you describe requires someone who is emotionally intelligent and self-aware.
Yeah.
So dating is for data, and what we forget is that we try to date and lock somebody in off of emotions or lust, not knowing if they're self-aware and emotionally intelligent enough to develop into where you're trying to go. Because we haven't articulated, like, I'm just gonna say, if I'm dating a man and he says, "Hey, baby, I'm trying to go here. Like, I want a lifestyle where we can travel and be location free and da da da." But I'm saying, "Hey, I want a traditional life in the suburbs." We're not headed to the same destination of our vision of marriage. So now, but when we're not emotionally intelligent enough or wise enough to have those conversations, then we're assuming the other person wants the same thing. Yeah. So as a woman, and so we can't always wait for a man to initiate that. I've learned in dating and friendship and courtship to understand the man's vision for the type of wife, family, and marriage he desires, because I'm not trying to eliminate him. I'm trying to understand if I'm the right fit for him so that our time is well spent.
That's good. That's
wow.
good. Like that's good. I'm gonna let you if you had anything first, Ellis. If not, I was gonna jump in.
Oh yeah, go ahead, bro.
Okay, so one of the things, and listening to both of you, one of the things that I tell, and this is something that I live by, and it's something whenever I've done couples coaching, relationship coaching, and just sat and had these conversations, even in my own relationships, I've always said when we listen to each other, we have to listen to receive and not to rebuttal. And
That's
too many
good.
times in conversations, it's all about, well, I'm trying to make you understand me. I'm trying to make you understand me. We can't make somebody understand us. Either they're going to understand us or they're going to choose not to understand us. But if we're sitting and we're listening to receive, as a woman's talking, we're receiving, we're learning your language. We're gaining the understanding that's necessary. And even as a man is talking, when you're talking, and a man is talking about the things that he's dealing with in life, and he's where he wants to go in life. If the woman is sitting and listening to receive, she starts to see the vision clearer. She understands his emotions better, and then she understands like, okay, I need to communicate this in this type of way, or I need to communicate that in that type of way, and it's vice versa. Because if we're not listening to receive, then we will never get to the point that we understand we have to change something or we have to correct something. You know what I'm saying? So
That's good.
yeah, and we can't be afraid of receiving. There's been plenty of times where I've been in conversations and I'm sitting and I'm listening to receive. And when I started the conversation, I felt like I was right. But by the time she got like 2 minutes into what she was saying to me, or maybe 30 seconds into what she's saying to me, I realized, you know what? Dang, I'm wrong. I'm so wrong. Now, on the flip side of that, the person who is communicating as the individual who you're having the conversation with starts to receive and they admit to that wrong, it doesn't mean that they didn't get it. It doesn't mean that they weren't listening. It just means that they were trying to respond and not receive. And that's a problem. If we're just trying to respond, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, we're trying to react instead of trying to receive and respond. And that's the problem. Because if we just react, a reaction is somebody slap me, I slap them back. But if I'm responding, somebody slap me, I got a moment I stop and I'm like, so you really think that was a good idea to slap me like that? Now that may not be what everybody else's reaction is, but if I'm responding now, I'm responding in a way that's going to really, it's going to either dissolve the situation, resolve the situation, or escalate the situation. So man, that's some good stuff, Melissa. And I see that you put yourself on mute, but she
I'm still with you.
Okay.
I know I got like a few seconds before you bring Creed back up, but I just want to leave it with this thought because I want you brothers to definitely keep this conversation going. Hearing from the men is refreshing. But for the women that are listening, my challenge, my prayer back to you is to facilitate this dialogue inside your own household and maybe use this conversation as a catalyst to hear for understanding and application, not for unapplied knowledge. Because the last thing you want to do as a woman is to allow this man to become vulnerable and divulge his heart and desires and you ignore it. So that's my keys for tonight. Fellas, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Man, that was a good way for her to go out. And she also said,
beautiful.
People can hear you, but not apply what they heard. That is selective hearing and willing non-application. That's good. So let's bring Creed up because she done gave us boy. This done turned into the barbershop after you done had a deep conversation with your woman. Creed, my brother.
Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead and chime in with us, man. You heard what Melissa came in and had to say, man.
Oh no, you guys go ahead and kick it. I'll jump in. What did you guys get out of that? First of all,
man,
make sure that what did you hear? And the reason why I asked that is because I think it's important that we understand that until we get like a suggestibility test questionnaire or a sexuality test questionnaire to understand how we perceive things, whether from the emotional response or the physical response. And then once we get our score on that, then that's how we can communicate and understand each other much more effectively.
Okay,
so we got to have tools, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway,
so Ellis, go ahead, Ellis, and share some of like what you pulled from what Melissa was saying in that.
Oh man, first of all, sis, wow, warning disclaimer. Can you just have that come with what you brought to into this right here? Because oh my goodness, but wow. The wisdom and the gems is just I'm still processing and receiving what you said, but I definitely believe that these conversations need to be had in our respective households, in our individual households, because it's this is a level of emotional maturity, you know what I'm saying, emotional intelligence that individuals need to have and need to carry around with them, because if not, there's going to be a level of ignorance there that creates a blockage, and it's not, individuals are not going to be able to receive on both sides. So
Yeah.
Let me add to your content on that.
oh,
And
go
and
ahead, absolutely.
go ahead, Creed.
Um, See, for me, I kind of realized that emotions. You got to remember some of them are artificial props built for marketing strategies and monetary values. So it's best sometimes to try to, before you jump into anything like love or anything like that, make sure you can identify what love is. And when we go by a module of our parents or what we see around us, now we live our whole life trying to mimic someone else. So it's better, and we're never happy with that. The anxiety will be high because they always stay competitive. So it seems
Yeah.
like the best thing for me with something like that would be more like find yourself, find what love's feel like to yourself. And then when you walk back out there, you'll walk back out there with a sense of servitude, humility, and true affection for just human beings.
Yeah.
And then when you find that mate after that, you don't have to worry about her following. But just your crown and just how you carry yourself, your integrity, morals, value, your character. You can walk in front of any chic president. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You'll be that. You'll be that man.
So Creed, we actually have a question that somebody, one of the ladies presented for you. The question is,
Okay.
what is love for you? And that was directed towards you, Creed.
Love for me. Love for me is giving. Love for me is God, man. Love for me, love. The earthly representation of love for me is when I take a deep breath. It's just like, so I could never meet that. I could never meet that because that's God. I can never meet that. So what I do is I go around and I just figure out things that He made. How He lead me to do here, like this loving. I'm not non-malicious, not intent on anything you do, and it just makes you feel good. Love makes you feel good.
Man, so let me direct that to you, Ellis. And let's keep in mind, like Creed got like a minute. Hey, Creed, if it cut out on you, jump back up for one more round.
Okay, that's
But
what's up.
what's love for you, Ellis?
Wow, man, I think he hit the nail on the head by saying that God is love. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I how can I say this? By saying God is love, if a woman or a man has a heart for God, then I believe that you can be um taught on the true definition of love, which is God in its essence, but you got to have a heart for God. So for me, anybody
Yeah.
that's after God's own heart is, I believe they are eligible to be able to
See, I
love
couldn't
me
even
in the
lie.
way that it should be, that to be able to love in the way that it's, at its core, at its true definition. You know what I'm saying? So if you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have
yeah.
a heart for God, then I could deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm gonna chime in a second, but go ahead. Well, Creed, you got like 10 seconds, and then you want
Yeah,
to.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I'll chime back in because I want to build on what he said. He hit a lot of points, but for me, I tried to learn it, but
Yeah. So as Creed is coming back up, I'm gonna bring him back into the conversation. I am definitely gonna chime in on this so I can tell you what love is to me, so that we can we all have our perspectives on it. And I want to make sure that we add balance because there are those
go ahead.
who may not understand at the level that we're talking about, or not even I won't say the level because that kind of makes it seem like people are below us. They may not understand the perspective that we're coming from, and I want to add the balance to gain a clearer, broader perspective for everybody else. But go ahead,
Got
Creed.
you.
No, I was just kicking it, just throwing something out there with what he was saying. But this for me, I tried to learn how to love and tried to, like I say, mimic. I couldn't find it. It took me those mistakes, and then I just never could. I just never could find that feeling but I had it when I was born and I had it when I was young. But I think when I picked up the world around me and started noticing things and different things like that, I just didn't have a good understanding of what it was but I knew it wasn't what that was because I didn't feel right. So when I just found myself, man.
Yeah, no, that's good. And let me say this, and this I said I was going to chime in and give you my definition of love. So for me, I firmly believe that love is it's not an emotion, right? Love is it's not an adjective. Love is a verb. It's an action word.
That's
And
good.
what I mean by love being a verb, being an action word, you have, for those people, because there are some people who may watch this and they don't believe in God at all. And they're like, well, what do you mean love is God? I don't even believe in God. So does that mean love is the universe? Like they're now their thought process is all over the place and just trying to figure that space out. But to give us a broad perspective, as men of faith, of course, we're going to, because we understand for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. And any man who has a son knows, like, wait a minute, my only child? Like, that's a crazy amount of love. Basically, what that's saying is that God loved the world. And when you think of the world, who's left out of the world? Nobody. We're all on this world, right? So he loved everybody so much that he bankrupted all of heaven just to make sure that we were okay, right? So that was an action that he took. He gave up something. And that goes back into what Creed said at the beginning. Love to him is like giving. And that it's an immediate thought. Okay, he gave. Like, so there's a giving piece to this. Now, when I say love is an action, this is how I see it. Love, the action, is the seed that's planted, right? And as you plant that seed, love the action. With every action that you move with, it starts to produce this tree. It grows roots, and then that tree grows and it starts to produce fruit. And love, the fruit, is the actual emotion, because you can't get to the emotion of love without the action of love. The action of
That's so
love
good.
leads to the emotion of love. And if you think back, and this is something that in our community is a big challenge, a lot of times men, especially black men, we don't know what a family dynamic should look like. Because we didn't grow up in a home with a mother and a father. You know, we may have grown up like, and I'll say in my situation, I don't know my father. I never really saw a successful marriage. So therefore, when I did get married, I had to try to figure out, okay, how do I make this happen? How do I make this operate? Not knowing how to really make. What's my example? You know, we got the Cosby Show, but the Cosby Show ain't been on TV in so long. Like, I'm hoping I'm doing it right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we try to refer back to things that we see as like, okay, these are images of what a real marriage should look like. So we have to learn these things, and we have to learn that love is an action. Now, if you really go back and think about the actions that were taken to show that you were loved, there was a roof over our heads when we were children. That's an action. There was food on the table when we were children. That's a part of the action. There were clothes that were placed on our backs. These were part of the actions, right? But we're listening to music and we're saying, okay, this is how I'm supposed to love somebody. Music is not telling you how to love somebody. Music is painting a story. Music is giving you a fantasy, and then it's saying, okay, now go fulfill this fantasy. It's writing a narrative in your mind and saying, okay, now you go do this, because it's somebody else's actions that they were doing or that they were writing about to present a picture of like, this is what love should look like. Where in all actuality, love is going to look a little bit different as it comes from different people. My mother is going to love me a certain way that no other woman is really going to ever be able to love me. Then we have like these, my grandmother, she's going to love me in a way that it's even different than the way my mom loves me, right? My grandfather, he loves me in a way that's different than the ways that these two women love me. My sister loves me in a way that's different than the way that these people love me. My woman loves me in a way that's different than how anybody else loves me. Like all of these things, they all funnel themselves down into these actions that are happening that produce love. We can say, I love you, right? We can definitely come out and say, hey, I love you. And in saying, hey, I love you, um, you know, there's we believe that we're producing an action that goes along with it. But how many times have you said, I love you, and your woman, whoever, your man, whatever, show me. And you like, huh? And you thinking that you have been showing them. Well, it's because now
That's
there's
good.
a disconnect, right? There's a disconnect because you're not speaking the same language. And that's a part of that listening to receive. If we can listen to receive, we start to understand each other's language. Men and women, literally, we speak different languages. Yes, we may be saying the same words phonetically, and it may come out as English, right? But there's a different language. We have different body language. But go ahead, Creed. And I have somebody else in the queue too that I'm gonna pull up in just a second. Dr. Robert J. Goodman is gonna come up after you, Creed. So I'm gonna have to cut you a little short. But go ahead.
That's the why when I first came back up, that's what I was speaking on. That cheat sheet. It's an emotional and physical sexuality questionnaire, and then you can determine how they comprehend based on that score.
Yeah.
whether it's mom, dad, brother, sister, girlfriend, wife, kids, and then it's just a healthier way to communicate.
Yeah.
They may not know it, but at least you know. So
Yeah.
then you know how to, whether you have to explain in detail or give a person a certain level of affection, or whether you need to give them some space because they're more physical and they'd rather just read a book and be alone after argument or dinner. Or some people may want to be seen in public, and you think you're doing them a favor. Let's go to the club, or let's go to the NBA All-Star game, or let's go out. But their personality may just be doing it just to appease you, but it's really they're dragging, and they're wearing their mask. And then after a while, they get frustrated, and then things don't be right. So it's best up front to kind of know who you're dealing with, whether it's 60-40, 70-30. That's just what I'm saying as far as that cheat sheet.
Yeah, man. And let me throw this out here, because when we're talking about love, and the reason why I said action is because there's like 7 or 8 different types of love that's out there, right? And so I'm just gonna name them really quickly. And this is me trying to go off of memory, so if I miss one or if I say something wrong, please don't crucify your boy. But you have phila, like Philadelphia. Phila love. That's affectionate love. That's a brotherly love. It's a sisterly love. It's a love that's without romantic attraction. It's basically between friends, brothers, sisters, things of that sort. You got pragma love. That's more of an enduring type of love, like a patient type of love. You have storge love. That's that's like family love, like a mother to a child, a father to a daughter. That type of love. You have ludus love, which is like more of like a jovial, playful type of love. You have mania love, that's like you're really obsessed with the person. Like you love so much that there's just like your last breath is theirs. And that generally happens in deep relationships, marriages, things of that sort. You have agape love, which is unconditional love. And then I think there's one called philatia, which is basically a self-love where you can where you have a strong love of self, which then helps you to love other people. So with all these different types of love that are out here, let's not get twisted and get stuck on the eros love, which is the sexual love. We have to be able to have intimate conversation, and intimate conversation there's a Greek word for it called koinonia, which is basically an intimate, deep level of conversation. And when we can get into those spaces where we can have those deep levels of conversation, and it's not sexual conversation, it's just deep, endearing conversation that draws you closer, right? So that's the koinonia piece. But go ahead. I know you got a minute left.
I want to say something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say this sexuality test, just for the record, it's not as far as like sexual like that. It's like whether like you emotional or physical. You're right, sir. I mean, just how you were learning to perceive things based on your mom. But your mom deal with the emotional, your dad deal with the physical. If whatever that role model, that male in your life, that determines on how you perceive and how you react to things. Yeah. It's nothing to do with sex.
Oh no! I wasn't saying
how you perceive things.
Yeah. No. I wasn't saying that the test had anything to do with that. I was just saying in general.
Okay. I was putting that for the audience. I was letting everybody who didn't know what it was. It's something really, really. It's either your feminine side or your masculine side, and how you really operate. Because a lot of us wear masks, like they operate under a masculine, but actually their decisions and their emotions is going under a feminine in their men.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to communicate with them in one way.
Yeah.
And then if someone is more physical, where they had a dad present, or even if dad was, you gotta remember, we can't really use the excuse about mom and dad, because there was as far as our upbringing.
Dang. Okay. So we lost Creed here, and I was hoping that he was watching his time. I do have somebody else that's in the queue that I'm gonna bring up with us, Dr. Robert J. Goodman. Man. So let me bring him up. But man, as I'm bringing him up, man, what you think, Ellis? How you feeling, bro?
Man, I definitely appreciate you for cleaning that up, man. Because I've, like Melissa said, I've never really got hit with that question like that. Like, what is love? Go. Oh my goodness, what is love to me? Oh, okay, well, So I went to the first thing that like what God is love. But nah, man, beautiful job in explaining that. But I got 3 L's out of what you were talking about, man. That really broke down some things. And I know we got somebody that we got coming in, so hopefully I have a little time to explain it. But
yeah, he's on. He said, "Go ahead and finish."
Oh, go ahead. Absolutely, go ahead.
Go ahead. Hit your 3 L's. He said, "Go ahead."
Okay, I believe that to me, love is learning, love is listening, and love is also limiting.
Mm.
And by the limit, what I say is, what I mean by that is, growing up, you had mentioned the household. It's certain things that your parents told you not to do. They limited you on what you can and cannot do. And I feel like those limits keep us in line on how we desire to be loved. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If it's certain things that you wouldn't do to yourself or allow yourself to do, then you shouldn't allow your partner or whoever to cross those lines as well.
Okay, so you said love is learning, love is listening, and love is limiting, right?
Correct.
Okay. So Dr. Robert, how you feeling, my friend?
Great. I agree with him, and all all limitations are self-imposed.
Uh-huh.
So, and yes, my mother, father was around, raised me. My father was the baby of 11 kids, and I hung out with his oldest brother, which was my oldest uncle.
Okay.
And he had a farm, 5 acres, horse, cows, and would always come over there and say, "A penny for your thought." And I would tell him, he would give me the penny, and then ask me, did I understand what he said? I said, yes. He said, okay, now tell me in your own words. And he did that from the age of 11, from the age of 8 to the age of 11. And each one of my uncles would encourage me.
Yeah.
One of them actually taught me how to drive a tractor and plow a field at the age of 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. So, loving all of that, and getting wisdom from that emotion, the emotion of knowing that I get to drive a tractor when I get home from school, doing my chores early in the morning, and get to do these things, that was very emotional to me.
Man.
And to say that, all of that, to say I am dyslexic, but I did not let that stop me.
Right.
I am a PhD in philosophy and a bachelor's in humanity. Taught sexuality for 20 years in California and Hawaii. And now I'm living in a 5-bedroom home sitting on a half an acre. Now, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So the emotion of that, to love, the first thing you have to do is love yourself. You make yourself come first, everything else will fall into place.
Man.
And I'm gonna finish this. I'm letting my surplus overflow. I've been retired 8 years. And this came up, and all of a sudden I'm ready to come out of retirement. Because this is so exciting. So I made myself come first. So and what is the P16 for?
This is part 16. It's part 16. Yeah, okay. I've just really been unpacking emotions, and we hit everything from emotional intelligence to understanding emotional intelligence to understanding what makes us happy, how we get happy, the good side to when we have bad emotions, the balance of those things. So it's been a nice little journey. But I absolutely appreciate you, Dr. Robert.
Okay. Yes. I feel like Homeboy wasn't quite finished. But in case, I'm really just enjoying the talks.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. And hey, keep living, and you're with what I got.
Hey, I'm with it, and that was very inspirational and empowering. And
Absolutely.
Dr. Robert, please connect with me. Please connect with me. All my information is in my my profile there, and I would love to connect with you. But yeah, that was, and and the dope thing is that every man who has come on tonight has been a Black man sharing transparently. You know what I'm saying? And normally I would say, hey, we got to cut it off. I have one more person that just jumped up in the queue, and this will be the last person that I take from over on Wisdom, and then you and I will wrap this up because I know you gotta, it's Valentine weekend, and when I talked to you earlier, you was with your boo thing. You know what I'm saying? That could be why you look so fresh, like you know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just saying,
You're a
I'm just
smart man, man. Very smart.
so I am not going to get in the way of that. But let's bring up Dominic, a great young man from out there in the city of Wind, I believe out in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Dominic, what's up, young man?
Hello, Jarvis. Again, my apologies.
Oh no need to apologize, man. Just the fact that you're willing to jump in, and and just so everybody know, my man Dominic is 18 years old, young man in Chicago, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And what's your ethnicity?
I'm black.
Okay, I didn't want to like be like, yeah, he's a young black man. And you be like, I'm Hispanic. I'm like, oh, my bad. But young black man, just really good head on his shoulders. But go ahead, Dominic. Did you have questions or did you want to chime in on the love conversation?
Oh wait, this about love?
It's about emotions, but you wherever you picked up at, go ahead and you can comment on whatever it is that you picked up at.
What's going on? I mean, like the topic in general. Like, I just want to talk like about the topic. That's all.
Okay, because you see, the topic is what goes on inside of a man's heart.
Yeah.
So go ahead, talk it up, man. We listening to you.
All right. Well, I can. Well, I'm 18. I mean, does that consider me a man or?
Man,
societal terms, right?
It's by societal terms, yes. You are 18. You are an adult in the United States of America.
What's better than helping yourself to help other people? So even emotionally, like when we get emotionally disturbed, like we can better articulate, and not articulate, but we can better handle our emotions based off like how like let's say if we were in this circumstance, like, well, what if I got mad and angry, like, oh well, would I react this way just because it is, or this way just because it is, or let's say we were in front of a person, they didn't say something we didn't like, and it's like, well, am I going like? Well, that's just based off how I think. Like, that's what goes on in my heart. Like, what if like I gotta help myself, but I gotta think about helping myself while I think about helping other people as well.
Man, it's funny that you said that. So one of the things that really pointed me in a direction of loving my friends unconditionally, loving people unconditionally. I grew up in church, y'all, and I tell people I had a drug problem because I was drugged to church on Monday, drugged to church on Tuesday, drugged to church on Wednesday. You see what I'm going with it, right? So every day of the week. And the problem with that is I didn't. What'd you have to say, Ellis?
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm just enjoying how you put that. I like that. That was
Yeah,
good.
but I didn't have a real understanding or revelation as to why I was going to church, right? I just knew that my mom said, let's go, so we going. And and the reason I brought that up is because growing up as a kid, I remember going to Sunday school, and one of the first lessons I really learned about Jesus is that the story, or when they say, greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. And you got to think, as a kid at like 9 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, wherever I was probably in between there somewhere. When I heard that, you hear the friends, and that's where your love lies, right? You think about the people who are around you, and then you think about how when you're talking to your mom, or you're talking to your dad, or you're talking to your grandparents, or whoever it is you have a conversation with. Every single one of us have heard this from somebody, some adult in our life, where they say there's not anything that they won't do for us, right? So that then registers. It registers with the love piece. And so to go into what you're saying, Dominique, that's a great way to start off and say, what better way to love other people than to make sure that you're taken care of first so that you can love other people, and that's something that people miss because they'll find their satisfaction in just seeing other people pleased. And I've been guilty of that myself at times. Right. So, but go ahead, Dominic. I know you only got about 45 seconds left.
No, I just diagnosed myself with narcissism, so I wanted to hop off.
Oh, you done? Man, you do a self-diagnosis. Nah, you ain't gotta hop off, man. You ain't gotta hop off. I think that every individual on the face of this planet at some time in their life, some point in their life, experiences levels of narcissism. And then when you get to that place where you become selfless, and that's one of the things I want to challenge us to do as Black men, is to lead selfless lives where we love and we care for the people that are around us enough to want to see them succeed and not
That's
hold each
good.
other back. But you got anything else, Dominic? You got like 5 seconds.
No, sir. I'm just enjoyed the talk.
All right, man. We appreciate you, Dominic. Appreciate you. You know, I love that little kid, man. I'm sorry, that grown man. You know what I'm saying? That's some guy, Dominic. But man, that's what we're here for. So, Ellis, like I said tonight, you know, I know that you probably got some plans and stuff, man. So we're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything you want to take like 30 seconds and just kind of leave a nugget with everybody? Because we talked about a lot of stuff. We just kind of ended up really circling
Oh,
around the love
absolutely,
book.
man. Right, right. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I listened, I learned, I absorbed a lot. And I love what the young man Dominic said at the towards the end, man. One way that well, a phrase that I've heard throughout my life, and I'm pretty sure it's a very popular phrase. They say, "Help me, help you." And a way to help somebody, for me for you to help you is that you got to be transparent, you got to be
Right,
honest. Don't throw out this uh false version of yourself or false image of
right,
yourself for sake of trying to be accepted or received. You have
right.
to allow people or trust whoever. It doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be you, but you have to trust somebody to,
Yeah,
I guess, expose yourself to them and let them know, like, hey, this is where I'm at. Whether
yeah,
it's I don't want to be here no more, can you help me get to the place where I need to be at? So you have to help me help you. And that in itself is attractive. Like, say if there was a vehicle that's on the side of the road, if an individual was just sitting in that vehicle, then you won't
yeah,
be as prone to try to help that person. But if you've seen them out there trying to work on the vehicle, let's attempting, you will be more prone to try to help them out because they're trying to help themselves. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. That's
So
good.
that's just a philosophy that I like to roll with, but
No, I
definitely
like that.
appreciate
I like that. Hey, and on that note, I'm just gonna say it like this. You know, just say Ellis came through and dropped some major nuggets. We had Dr. Robert who jumped on. Thank you so much, Dr. Robert, for jumping on and sharing with us, and all of the best to him as well. Dominic Creed, thank you so much, and Melissa, speaking up for the ladies, thank you so much.
it.
I think that
Absolutely.
very productive and great conversation tonight. One of those ones that, yes, I did allow it to go longer than the normal session, but man, this was worth it. Every piece
Absolutely.
was worth it. And I will just say this, as we roll into this weekend where where the environment is conducive for people pushing for the love bug, pushing for the love emotion, pushing for the things that are going to spark that part of them, that eros side of them. Let's not lose sight of the fact that love is a 365-day a year action. It's not
Absolutely.
just set on one day. So if Monday comes, if this weekend passes, and any of us out here don't get what we anticipate, um, do not let that dampen the love that you have for the individual that you love so much.
Right.
Because it's not about the tangibles, it's about the quality of what that person brings to you in your life. And that's, I don't know who that's for, because I had no intention
That's
on even
good.
saying that. I was going to say something totally different. But I do want to leave it this. How I say love y'all. Ellis, my guy, I so appreciate you. I love you, my
Appreciate
dude.
you, man. Thanks for having me.
I love you.
Love
Stick
you too,
stay on
big bro.
for just a second. I'm gonna pull you off the main screen, but stay on for just a second,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna just dismiss everybody else, and then we out of here. But yo, you guys enjoy this weekend, enjoy tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a great conversation, and I hope that you shared it with somebody. Go back and watch it. This is one of those ones I'm gonna have to go back through and sit down and write down some more notes. And I just encourage you, put those things into action. And fellas, thank you so much for chiming in tonight and sharing your heart and sharing who it is that you are and what goes on in our hearts. And I know there's so much more. There's so many more questions that could have been asked, but I think that tonight's conversation was very valuable, and we'll come back and we'll do this again a little bit later and have some more fellas come together and really just kind of chop it up. But I will be back tomorrow evening You know, and we'll be touching on another topic, y'all. This is your boy Jarvis. You've been with me on Jarvis TV. So I'll holla at you later. Peace to all my people over here on IG. Holla at you. And then peace to all my people that are over here on YouTube and Facebook. We will talk to you later. And my wisdom